right, we're live, huh? Awesome. Good
Yes,
evening,
sir.
everybody. This is Carlito and Tom show tonight. We're going live. We're going to be with you with our guest Chris Cyrus from the Venomous Fringe, aka now it's Beyond Fringe. But I just want to say thank you, everybody, for coming here tonight, for tuning in, for showing us support, and for being here because we're gonna have a great show for you tonight. And I'm really excited to introduce my friend Chris. I've known him for quite some time, maybe 5 years. We started, well, I was in one of his groups from a long time ago. It was called Dogman X, and I got to know him pretty well, and I just known him for over years. He's a great guy, and he's always been helpful to me and anyone else that I know. Always show support, help, and he kind of mentored us with getting the show started and helping us with the group. And he knows a lot about the stuff. He's not one of them guys that just says that he's going to do something. He actually does it. He comes through. So I'm just really honored to have him on our show tonight. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Carlito. Go ahead, buddy.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yes, great introduction, Tom, as always. Yeah, hey guys. I'm sorry my voice is a little raspy today. I've been sick a couple of days ago, and yeah, man, I've been waiting all week for this because as you guys know, and I've always mentioned it, Chris is like a great person to me that I really look up to. And he's, I see him as a mentor, a guide, you could say.
I've been waiting
that
all week for
that that I look up to, and wish I could be like, as professional as he is one day. You know what I mean? I know we just started, and I know it's a long way for me to get there, but I know I will eventually, with his coaching and his good technique, showing us the way, showing us the ropes. So I have personally, and I know Tom does too. Personally, I have a lot of love for him. Because everything that I've learned from him, like even when I started watching him on the Venomous Fringe, this was like maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and he was always willing to talk to anybody with good questions, and I reached out to him a couple times. He was like, yeah, sure, buddy, and he wasn't like in any way, shape, or form like what we call a dickhead in this industry, right? In this community. So that's what really got me, interested in his channel and in his professionalism. To me, he's the most professional guy out there. Honestly, out of everybody, even the new groups, even everybody. I mean, since back then, he's been to me, he's been like the most professional guy out there, and that I want to learn from. And I watch all his videos. I think I already watched all his videos from the Venomous Fringe and Beyond Fringe. So, I just can't say enough good things about him, man. You know what I mean? And I don't know why anybody would want to, contradict that. But anyway, that's not that important. So yeah, I don't want to go any more than that. But he's a great guy, and I love him to death, man. And we talk like on a regular basis. And I call him, hey Chris, I got this situation, man. Can you help me out? Yeah, sure, but he's always got time. So he's a great person, all in all, and a great podcaster. And his show is awesome. I love his shows. So yeah, like I said, I can't stop talking good things about him, man. But I don't want to take him any more time, Tom, on my introduction. But I'm just really, really glad and honored that Chris is here with us. Chris, love you, bro, and thank you for being here, man. And I'm gonna go ahead and pass the mic over to you, Chris. Okay, if you could just start off, maybe giving us a little introduction on yourself for the people that might not know you that well.
Well, for one, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Cryptid Junkies, and I'm happy to be doing this episode, this podcast, sitting down with Carlito and Tom. Carlito asked me about a week ago, and I was very honored to do it. And I had originally, when we had first started talking, we had spent very good conversations on the phone, and it was very nice to speak to you, and as you as well, Tom. I understand that a little off and on back in there, especially early in the days and stuff. But now we've established things, and put things down below, and now here we are, and here we sit, doing this show. So I'm very happy to be here, guys, and I appreciate. It's nice to have the kind words. It really is. This what I've been doing in the last 3 years with the Venomous Fringe, now Beyond Fringe. It's been quite an interesting experience, and also too in the field and moving forward with things. It's also important as well. And to do this show this evening will be pretty good to do, and to hear what you guys have to say, what anybody else would have to say, and I'm happy to be sitting here and discussing this topic matter, especially with other believers. Now, a little bit about me. Go back. My interest with cryptozoology from the East Coast, in between the New York, New Jersey, and Philly, or Pennsylvania, the tri-state area. Back in 2006, I was very fascinated with cryptids, following a variety of shows like Unsolved Mysteries, In Search Of, and all of these sci-fi shows that would air cryptid-related materials. And it was really interesting to me, and I felt very intrigued by it, because as a kid, you build an idea what monsters are. I think anybody who was a kid had built an idea what monsters were, because we'd see them in movies, TV, video games, back then, mostly during movies and television, and they'd given us nightmares. So for me as a kid, I was always intrigued by them, but I also was terrified. So when I originally started getting into all of it, I proceeded to do a lot of digging and see, because I grew up in the digital age where kids were introduced to computers as a course. You look up things. So I look up information from Lauren Coleman. I remember looking up Peter Burns information, Grover Krantz, and even some information from Bob Gilman about Bigfoot. I also knew about other related investigators out there who happened to be exploring that around that time period. So we're talking early 2000s, mid 2000s. And it's interesting to take notice of what a lot of these veterans who were working in the 20th century doing all this, and to put that information out even for public today. It's extremely informative, especially to those who want to learn what these things are. And not just Bigfoot, but also Dogman. Dogman, I know it's been debated with me, and it's fine, but it's one of the newer cryptids compared to Bigfoot. And same with Chupacabra, too. I mean, those cryptids have only gotten the amount of attention they've gotten in the last 30 to 35 years due to a lot of what was being reported back in the 90s. So you have a time period here of all these different type of cryptid-related topics, and even in New Jersey, the Jersey Devil. There's also been there's been Bigfoot reports all throughout. So as far back as I can remember, in the last 15 years, I've had interest with cryptozoology. I also do study paranormal too, but I've had some interesting experiences, but I'm more of a cryptozoologist. I just find the topic to be more interesting.
Right.
That makes sense. I mean, like I said, with the Jersey thing, I mean, I grew up in New Jersey, so the Jersey Devil is like,
that's right. Yeah.
It's like folklore, but it's like story legend, but it's like there's truth to it as well, because you're raised in New Jersey and all you hear about is Jersey Devil. Don't go in the water, the Jersey Devil's going to get you. Don't go swimming in the lake. Don't go in the woods, the Jersey Devil's going to get you. It's like everything is based on like the Jersey Devil, and it's almost like it puts a fear in you as a kid when you're out with the older folk, and they just kind of put that fear in you, and you don't really realize it, like the whole factor behind it, that it's actually something that really did happen back in the 1800s. And not many people know the actual history behind it. They just say the Jersey Devil and don't know the whole facts. But I'm sure you could elaborate more, because you're the awesome investigator, research guy.
Yeah, I bet he would, man. It's like
you did some investigation in the Pine Barrens as well, where the home of the Jersey Devil is. So
right. Yeah.
The thing is about an investigator is that I might do a podcast on all of it, but I only know through what I interpret from what I hear, and I just put my spin on it like anybody else does, but I try to make it sound realistic and scientific compared to something that can totally sound out of whack. And that's nothing against anybody who has that type of belief, and of course everybody's entitled to that. But for me, and how I stand on things, my belief system is different from somebody else's. My belief system could be different from your guys' opinion. Now, my point is that it's funny that you mentioned Jersey Devil, because yeah, Jersey Devil is my first book I picked up when I got into cryptids. I picked it up thanks to a it was funny too, because the book itself was like an older edition of encounters up until 1993. So it was like the end of the 20th century. And I forgot the name of the book, but it was a very good book. It was written by two guys, and the book just described a variety of reports throughout New Jersey seeing this winged creature. I had recently just done a podcast interview with Ryan Stacy from the Beyond the Tinfoil Hat podcast. And Ryan Stacy, we discussed about the possibility of the Jersey Devil. Maybe it could be a paracryptid, because the origin story of the Jersey Devil goes back to the 1700s, when a woman gave birth to a baby that would end up transforming into this devil-like creature. And the irony was it was the 13th child. So it's more urban legend than it is of a possible realistic thing that have happened, and that maybe it sounds like a fairy tale because of how we depict mythology. Absolutely. That's a good way of putting it. But we don't know what really the Jersey Devil came from, the origins, really. We only just know that story, but it's also where people in recent years will see something, but then they might go ahead and they might proceed to see, but they can't explain, but then they kind of ripe around saying, okay, well, it looks like a bird, but it kind of looks like it had horns. And that's where it kind of draws a blend, or your eyes might be playing tricks on you. I'm not saying that people aren't seeing the Jersey Devil. I'm sure that there is a creature out there. I had done a show on it, but it was very brief. And I remember I shared a couple interesting cases in southern Jersey, particularly the Barrens area, the Wharton State Forest, and by Vineland, New Jersey, where all of these reported flying hominid sightings came, and people were seeing it day by day. It was very similar to Mothman. The thing with the Jersey Devil, though, is it's because there's not a lot of investigation on it. I don't think there's a lot of information we can come out with besides what we hear from stories. Now, these guys who had written that book I mentioned, where did they get all their information from? There's plenty of newspaper clippings. Even now with the digital age, you can go through old New Jersey papers, whether it's, the Asbury Park Press or the TR Times or any other major, like New York Times even too, the tri-state. It's been reported over in the state of New York as well, upper New York. So there's so many different type of records, but even for back then, because you got to remember the 1900s, I would think before what we would see as the big boom with the modern times, from like the 60s on with the trends, you had people who were seeing this thing in the early 1900s, and it's like back then, monsters, you couldn't make that up. And if you did, it was kind of more stricter and ridiculed than how we would see the ridicule now, or the ridicule back in the 50s or the 80s, when it was not as much of an outlet you can come to today. There's so many different ways of looking at it, though. Jersey Devil is definitely an interesting creature. Now, if I may ask you two, the Jersey Devil in particular, if we think of it as a creature with perhaps paranormal abilities, or it is just this hybrid-like creature that could have been bred from a certain reptilian bird, birds are reptilian. I don't think a lot of people realize that or know that. But if there was that type of crossbreed, what do you guys think the Jersey Devil might be, if I may ask?
Wow, that's a really good question.
Turning the tables a little bit on the interviewers.
That's okay.
Yeah, man.
All right.
I like it. Man, well, me personally, not having any type of research like you guys, because y'all are from New Jersey, but me personally, just the little research that I've done, or that I ran into actually about the Jersey Devils, that it's some type of demon gargoyle type cryptid that supposedly has wings and like a goat head, like horns, and I mean, but I really don't know much about it, to go into a lot of description, but
Right.
I do think it's possible, because there's a lot of woods and in every section of woods around the world, there's always a possibility of a cryptid
Right.
to be lurking. So yeah, I mean, like every state has its own. I don't know if you guys know, like the maps that they have, the cryptid maps, like on like in every state. And
Mhm.
so yeah, but I mean, I absolutely do believe that there's something behind there. There's some truth to that, like Tom was saying. And what all is true, I don't know. I think maybe just the local people are the ones that really know, instead of the people in the media. that's
Yeah.
that's just my take on it. I don't know.
No,
What
very
about
good
you,
take.
Tom? Yeah.
My take is, with all the recent sightings over the years, and even like all these old pictures of people seeing these things that look like the pterodactyl, I'm going on that factor because I mean it's a large flying winged bird, and
Yeah.
people are just they've never seen, back in the day in the 1800s, they never seen those. They didn't know what it was. They didn't have those dinosaur bones picked yet. I mean, it's something that's left behind, like people say with the Nessie and the Champ. This could be some kind of reptilian reptilian being that people just they're seeing so much of them, and they're hiding so well, and they're just calling it a Jersey Devil. I mean, it's the pterodactyl creature they call, the Native Americans call them the Thunderbirds. 10-12
Yeah.
foot wingspan, they fly, they could carry a person away. I mean, that's just my take on it from what I've personally just read and heard things, and just kind of put two and two together and just make my own thought process. That's kind of what I go with. I mean, I'm not going to go with it. It could be any, I mean, I'm not going to go on the demon factor. I mean, some people say the demon, the gargoyle, deformed, could be some kind of deformed.
Right.
I've heard like a horse bat, a deformed horse bat, because they can get to 4 feet tall. But I'm
Yeah.
not going to buy that either. I'm going to go with the whole pterodactyl thing, because
Yeah.
there's so many. The people have seen these things flying. I mean, there was an account of a pastor in Africa that talked about seeing them in Africa, and he came back when he was coming back to the States. They told me he couldn't talk about it because our government won't allow us to talk about it in our country, but they
Hmm.
don't care about it in Africa. So why not, right?
Goes to show you how much diplomacy, each country, what is said and what cannot be said. And I mean, that has been one of my focal points 2 years ago when I was doing the show, was about some of the more concrete conspiracy of thing. I'm not trying to go into that route now, but just to bring up, because you do mention something about that, the existence of these creatures and what they are. See, if there's a bunch of people going out there who are either writing books on it, doing podcasts like myself, and going out there and investigating it and trying to find all of these other pieces of information, absolutely, there's going to be so much of a widespread trend going on. Look what we've seen in the last decade with the cryptid trend, the paranormal trend. I think I've seen more people make so many paranormal groups and paranormal uh, affiliates in the last 10 years of this. And I'm not saying anything bad about it. It's good to commercialize that, and I understand it from the consumer's point, but I also see it too from the point of, if you're doing it for research. If you're doing it for research and you're trying to make efforts, you're not just trying to make a video and scare people with your sound effects, that you're not trying to just hoodwink. And that's been something that's been the main focal point, even encrypted related content. But there's my point, going back to what I was saying, is that you have this trend, and everybody in higher balance knows of it. Like, you can't just ban almost 100 Bigfoot groups because they know things about these creatures. There are people who have come forward that have been retired law enforcement, who have said that they've been retired, officials from the government, people who work for the state who have come forward, who have done some interest in this field and have given insight. They may have given aliases. I know I've interviewed a couple people who claim to be law enforcement who gave aliases discussing their encounters to me, but they know some of the boundaries and the things that go out in this field, what's out there. They know these things exist. It's just the fact that how can we just keep it so compacted? It's like a compactor just crushing a certain amount of weight before that compactor gets full. And it's going to be a matter of time before we just end up, that compactor just comes out and everything just spreads. And whether it's in our time or it's in my kids' time, your kids' time, or grandkids' time. You know, these things, they exist, and you can't keep it locked down forever.
Right on that. You're definitely right on that. I mean, disclosures coming, hopefully come soon. I think the big thing is, like I said, to be mass hysteria. People are going to be scared to go in the woods. They're going to be scared to go camping in these national parks. They're going to lose money all over the country, and that's their biggest worries, because if they disclose what's out in the woods, not necessarily that they're going to harm everybody, but people are going to know what's really out there. They're not going to want to take a step out in that forest whatsoever, and that's what's going to hurt them in the pockets.
Did you hear about the Oklahoma senator, that what he
They
wants to do?
Pass a hunting season. Well, what they want to do is actually make it, you have to buy a license to go hunting for Bigfoot, which means pretty much tracking, and then there's a bounty if you bring one back, which I honestly think that's like a tourism, kind of like a tourism thing to get people to come there and spend money and make that real popular. So all the Bigfoot communities go, raging all down to Oklahoma and tearing up the woods, with their shotguns, shooting everything in sight that's brown.
Yeah, I looked at that article and I said to myself, I was like, there's no way that could be real. That just to me, it sounds so conky, but at the same time, it's almost like a death sentence, especially to those out there who are going to utilize that as a way of trying to go after one, if they even try to. But still, I just figured that was an interesting point you brought up too, Tom.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that was real good, Tommy. Hey, Chris, I did want to ask you a couple questions myself, man.
Fire away.
I mean, I'm sorry I didn't mean to interrupt, but
no, you're fine.
Yeah, okay. But yeah, just a couple of quick questions, man. Really, that I've really want to that I've been wanting to ask you, like for a long time, like because we never spoke of this. All the times that we spoke, I've never asked you these questions. You know what I mean? But yeah. Okay, so my first question is, how long have you been into cryptids? Like since your childhood, since your teenage years? I mean, like what? How long has it been? Or when
Yeah, since like I said in the bio, like since 2006, I really started getting into all of this. Like I said, with Unsolved Mysteries with Robert Stack.
Yes, I love that.
Those episodes with
Right.
the cryptids, the Bigfoot, the Florida skunk ape. Those episodes really got to me. The In Search of with Nimoy Spock. Those were good too. I also saw the one with Mitch Pileggi, and that was a really good one too, because they had Linda Godfrey on one of them, I believe, with the Beast of Bray Road. And basically it's because of seeing stuff on television that really sparked my interest really into all of this, and then going to my local school library to pick up a book. First book being The Jersey Devil. The Jersey Devil being a big one, and then as transition to Bigfoot, then I read old newspaper articles, Mothman articles, and stuff like that.
Right.
So it's been since 2006, I really say would be the real peak of where I started really getting into all of this. I loved Bigfoot reports for the longest time. And I think...
Did you start off with Bigfoot?
I did. I was originally Bigfoot, and then it was Mothman.
I think everybody starts off with Bigfoot, bro. Yeah.
It's the main one. I think my first like YouTube video, believe it or not, was footage of the Patterson-Gilman film.
Yeah, me too. That was my very first video.
The original YouTube from 2006, like 2006, 2005, 2006, like before it was how it is today. But someone uploaded it, and I was so fascinated by it because it just looked abnormal to me. I'm one of the very few that will actually, perhaps in that camp, you could say that I will defend the film and say that it looks genuine.
Yeah, I agree. The Patty film, what they call it, the Patty film. I think there's genuine content there because the movements, the high raising of the knee, the high raising of the back leg when you're not, when we don't do that, the 45, you know what I mean, but on the back leg, and it's just you can even see like features like the breasts, because they say it's a she.
Yeah.
So you can even see the features of the breast, and when she turns around and looks at the camera, that's where you can really see the features of the breast, and it's just I think that's like I think that's, well, to me, that really convinced me that, that to believe in Bigfoot, really, that right there, that video. And then, I after that, I started seeing all these other videos, which were, awesome too. But that one is like a really good video for people to, start believing in these types of creatures and cryptids. But okay, so yeah, okay, so that's when you started. Okay, cool. Also, I wanted to ask you, when did you start researching? I mean, I know you were, an enthusiast with the Bigfoot since 2006, but when did you actually start like researching? Like, you know what I mean?
Started out back in 2015. I started really kind of jarring down things. I always tell it best, like once, because when I got into Bigfoot, that was
Hmm.
one thing, but cryptid was like an off and on interest. I was a kid, so my life, it was like, okay, Bigfoot's cool, it's on the side of me. I was originally going to write a crazy book on things as a kid, but I never did because it just seemed stupid at the time as a kid. So
Right.
I kind of put it on a shelf off and on. It wasn't until like 2015, really, because I listened to Bigfoot stuff, and then I heard about like the Michigan Dogman first, the Gable film. I stopped cryptozoology after I found out that was a hoax for a little bit, and then I moved forward and I grew up. And then by 2015, I was working, and I happened to look up a podcast because I happened to kind of just get my grasp on a podcast a little bit, and I'd always listen to other material, and then I guess in my suggestion feed there was this thing called Dogman Encounters, and then of course with Vic,
Right.
I
Right.
started
Right.
listening to that for a little bit, and then
Yes. Same here. Yeah. Hmm.
I started taking notes, and then I went and I found out that there were these other Bigfoot podcasts, and I was like, well, holy crap, there's so many outlets now. It's been 5 years, and we have so much material. We have websites on Facebook, we have podcasts on the subject matter. So I started listening to all of this, and proceeding from there, I just began this whole thing of just taking notes, listening to things. So research-wise, 2015 was really where I started getting into the basics. I would take notes on a lot of episodes, particularly ones that described a lot of the descriptions, because I wanted to get a good idea on descriptions. I wanted to range from 5 feet all the way up until, let's just exaggerate a bit, to 10 feet. Um, because if we've heard reports of Bigfoots standing at approximately 7 to 9 feet tall, and between the range of 7, 8, 9, and then
Yeah.
we hear Dogman reports 10 to 15 feet. I just got done this. I was doing an investigation actually today. I told you two about it, with an individual who he was telling me that he had collected a report from somebody who had described something that was 16 feet tall. Now,
Wow.
the thing is with that though, and it kind of goes into the movement of these things. If something is going to be that huge, and keep in mind that these things
Right.
exceed typical NBA players, typical football
Right.
players, your
Right.
athletes, giants. So,
Hmm.
like, let's just say, for example, that people were seeing this thing and it was like approximately like 10 feet tall.
Hmm.
There's old footage of a guy, and I shared it in one of my friends' groups of, I'll share it with you guys too.
Hmm.
Um, there's this guy from like the 1900s who was at 8 feet tall, 11 inches. And
Wow.
he was so tall that he basically stood above almost, like he could literally touch a power line. That's how
What?
tall he was.
Are you serious?
But the thing is
Wow.
that that's just 8 feet, 11 inches tall. Meanwhile, people also see like 10 feet, 15 feet. And I'm thinking, well, if you're seeing it in the woods, then it's definitely, you can't even, like, you would have to look above to see its
Uh-huh.
head.
Uh-huh.
Because, like, I just feel that, and my point is that, like, as a researcher, I would go and I would look at certain things, heights, weights, what they could be, just to know if they're bigger and how stronger they are compared to zoological animals such as bears. Uh, I'm sure they could tear apart deer, mountain lion. Bear, on the other hand, with the weight and mass that they carry, it might be a bit of a challenge. I'd say the same with a mountain gorilla. There's been that debate, and I know people kind of sound it's like Sesame Street ABC question, but like it's like, oh, who would win in a fight, like a Bigfoot or a gorilla? And
Hmm.
honestly, I mean, if a silverback, if it has a good like advantage, it can just chew like a nice bite out of the chest of the Bigfoot because they use their teeth as a defense mechanism, like chimps, right? So, like, all you gotta do is just take a bite, and then that Bigfoot's just gonna get injured. You know, it's a typical ABC question, but it's a good question because it's like the strength of the predators, the apex predators, or a dogman and a dogman and a lion. Like, put a dogman and a lion, particularly.
Right.
You know, dogman has these claws, these sharp nails reported, right? It has these fangs, these teeth that Bigfoots don't necessarily use. If it happens to bite the jugular of a lion, then yeah, that lion's going down. But if the lion happens to get to the dogman first and vice versa, the dogman's going down.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
And that's just my opinion. I mean, everybody can tell me I'm wrong. That's fine, and anybody can disagree with me. I don't mind that. Listen, it's open discussion.
Exactly.
But the beauty of it is that, like, you look at these kind of pieces and you think, okay, well, if zoological animals like a mountain lion and a bear could probably shred it to bits, and a bear could probably lose a fight against a gorilla. I do those type of comparisons to kind of depict, and that's also part of some of the podcasts, is how people describe some of the activity, like what happens in this encounter. If someone's seeing a Bigfoot or a dogman from a car, what is this dogman doing on the side of the road? 9 times out of 10, it's on the side of the road. What is it doing? Okay, is it running across the road? Is it looking at you? Is it eating roadkill? All those typical ABC type things, right? But at the same time, there have been also reports I've collected where people have said to me that they've had their cars chased. I've had eyewitnesses actually tell me that they've heard other people's cars chased. There was a woman I was talking to in South Yorkshire, UK, that had dogman activity on her property. And when we were speaking, she was telling me about how her village, there was something throwing rocks off this hill, and that someone almost got injured, and they put a report in the community group. And there were also people reporting missing animals. So it goes applied by the also research of doing digging in. And I got so sidetracked with what I was getting into. But anyways, when it comes to research, I looked at notices. Like, I just look at their descriptions, listen to what the behaviors were, and go from there.
Hey, I got a question real quick.
Yeah.
Do you honestly believe that Bigfoots really grow up to 15 feet, man? Because to me, that's kind of out there, and that's kind of like, I'm like, I'm not buying that. You know what I mean? 15 feet is too much. I can understand up to 12, because they're, I can understand 10, 11, maybe 12. But 15, that's too much. That'd be like a giant. You know what I mean? That'd be like as tall as a tree, man. And I don't see that happening. I mean, I mean, that's just me. I don't know about you, Tommy, but that's just the way I see it. I don't buy it.
Certain conditions, certain environments. I mean, it's open game. They can get as big as I'm 18, 20 feet in certain areas. I mean, you've Ontario, Canada, Alaska, some of these areas where there's no people for hundreds of thousands of miles. They got all this land for themselves. They can get as big as they want to get, and they got all the food they want without worrying about people disturbing them. So who knows? I mean, matter of fact, it's only there's plenty of description of bigger than that. So they got things called the mountain giants. How big does a mountain giant actually get? They say 30 feet, 40 feet. I mean,
wow, damn,
yeah,
that's crazy.
Exactly.
But yeah, you're right. I mean, it could depend on their habitat, on how much food they have, the resources, right? All that, how big they can grow, right? I mean, yeah, it makes sense. Completely makes sense what you're saying, Tommy.
Yeah. You take a fish, you put it in a little tank. The fish
it'll grow only that much.
You get a 50-gallon tank, that fish is going to get a foot and a half long.
Yes, so I know. I have fishes.
That's kind of like the habitat for growth and evolving.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, you're sure right. Were you going to say something, Chris? Were you continuing?
Yeah. No, I was going to say is that to answer your question, Carlito, the guy that I was referring to is Robert Wadlow. I don't know if you know that name, but 1900s, he's the world's tallest man at one point. Okay. People did documentary on him. He was declared like the human Bigfoot.
Where was he from? Was he from the U.S. or was he?
He was from the United States. He only lived to be. It's crazy. He only lived to be 22. Like, he was young. But in his time, he was this tall guy who stood at 8 feet 11 inches and weighed 491 pounds.
Hey, was he the guy that came on World Guinness Book Records?
I
Whatever
think so.
thingy?
Yes, he
Was
was
that
in the
him?
Guinness Book of World Records. Yes.
Okay, he kind of looked like what's that, Lurch, the guy from what is it called, that
The Addams Family.
the Addams Family, right? Was that
Oh
him?
yeah.
Okay, yeah, I know who you're talking about now. Okay, all right, but
But
yeah,
yeah,
man,
he
that's
was the world's
crazy.
tallest man. And you say that people are seeing Bigfoots that are like, if they see them, or Dogman that go at like 10 feet, 15 feet tall. Like, and I'll even show you, like, I could even show you like what he would look like, because
Yeah, dude. I mean, could you do
he,
that, Chris? I remember you saying that you might, share your screen and show us some things like that.
yeah, I can show
Whatever
you
we're
something.
talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah, could you do that? That'd be great, man. Hell yeah.
And
Appreciate you, buddy.
anybody has questions, we're going to save them for the last. But I did have one question that somebody posted. I don't want to forget it. So this one's for you real quick. I guess
Fire
for
away.
Chris, what type of intelligence would you say Bigfoot has? Predatory intelligence or complete cognitive abilities identified with social and emotional comprehension?
Nice.
I think that it's predatory, mostly because they do think like a predator. They do things like a normal predator would do. Now, congestively, they could also have a factor of protection when it comes to family, because I'm sure that they ride with clan. There might be several Bigfoots out of the blue that might necessarily be loners, might be rogue, and they don't want to roll with that clan. And necessarily, they have protective boundaries. I just recently interviewed an individual who happened to have a Bigfoot. He had killed an animal because he was hunting, and this Bigfoot was shouting at him across this hill because this Bigfoot, that he had taken his prey, he had taken his food. So I would think, as a predator, yeah, they're gonna think, because if anyone ever sat there and told me, if I was about to eat something and someone snatched it from me and I'm about to dive into this, I'm the predator, I got it, then I'm gonna get like frustrated, right? You would get frustrated too. I would get pissed off. So I do think they think predatory wise. I just think because they have so many characters. Same thing with Dogman. They have these. I just think their intelligence is in that nature, because the way they think and establish themselves as a predator. And I think of them as the flesh and blood. I think of them as natural. And I can get into that in a little bit. But I do think in that route too. I think of them like bears, but not a bear, if that makes sense. Think of what you've learned in the wildlife about all these other wild zoological animals, including gorillas, including foreign animals too, like gorillas, or panda bears, or primates like orangutans, chimps, think of all of those things you've learned and just incorporate them even more with Bigfoot or Dogman. What were you gonna say?
Well, I have like my idea of a
Okay.
Bigfoot, being a, non-eyewitness for a Bigfoot, I guess you could say. Even though I did feel like there was one in the woods when I was a kid. I was playing hide and go seek. Everybody left me, and I heard some steps behind me and stuff, and I smelled like this ugly smell, like a dead animal smell, kind of. And I looked around, and there was no dead animal anywhere. Anyway, I was hiding, and and when I heard the steps, I was like, okay, you got me, man, you got me. All right, you got me, whatever, and no answer. This is just real quick, okay, because I don't want to make like a big deal or whatever.
Absolutely.
And then I already told Tom about it, and but I didn't see anything. It's like there wasn't any visual, contact. It was just like the smell, like I said, and the noise that it was making, like, stepping on branches or leaves or whatever. And okay, so then I was like, okay, well, you got me, whatever. And they didn't answer, so I was like, Okay. So I got up and, started walking towards, the house, because this was just a little small patch of woods behind one of my friend's house, because they lived like around the wooded area or whatever. So it was just a little patch of woods. It wasn't that big. It's not like a forest or anything. But anyway, we were playing hide and go seek, and I smelled that, and I thought somebody had found me, and started walking back towards the house, their house, and when I got back to the house, I seen everybody there, and I was like, "Hey, who found me back over there? I was hiding, over there, or whatever." They're like, "What? What are you talking about, dude? We've been here for the past 10, 15 minutes." I'm like, "What the hell? Are you sure? Are you kidding me?" So, that scared the shit out of me, because I was like, well, so who was behind me, right? So I'm like, what the hell? And I was like, man, I heard some steps behind me, and then I heard, I smelled something like a dead animal. I started looking for a dead animal, because that's very normal to find a dead animal in the small patch of woods. It could be a deer, it could be a squirrel, it could be a possum, it could be whatever. So I didn't think nothing of it. And when I got there, and they told me, yeah, no, we've been here for like 15 minutes. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me, man? So what the hell was over there? They're like, oh man, I don't know. You must have ran into some animal or something. But and that's just my little Bigfoot story that I think was a Bigfoot, because it never, did anything. It never roared at me. It never did anything. It was just like stepping around, and it smelled real bad. And that's what I know, or I've learned throughout the years of Bigfoot, researching, that they smell really bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the only thing, but nothing compared to Tom. So like Tom, I know he's got a whole different intake on Bigfoot, because Tom actually had a Bigfoot encounter or two. I don't know how many was there, Tom? And I don't know if you want to talk about it now, but I mean,
I'll just briefly. It was one in '98, one in 2015, and then, recent like interaction / communication from their side, and interaction with like gifting and stuff recently. And I'll go into that further when our next interview. But
hey, Tom,
yeah.
Was that back where you used to live, back in New Jersey area, or?
Yeah, the first one. No, the first one happened in Canada when I was bear hunting with my brother back in 1998, and it scared the living shit out of us. And we didn't know what
a great place to have a Bigfoot sighting.
Well, it was crazy, because we saw something, and I kind of had a feeling what it could be, and I didn't even think about this. Was way before Finding Bigfoot ever even fucking came out.
Yeah.
But that being said, what I saw, I was like, this is too big to be a moose. It's too big to be a bear. And when it took off, it was about 60 yards away. It pounded the ground, and you could hear the bipedal footsteps back and forth. And it was like boom, 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 boom. And you could feel the freaking ground shaking at 60 feet away. And then when we left, we had something flanking us as we left. And it sounded like a pack of wolves. But it also sounded like the freaking army of the orcs from Lord of the Rings flanking us. And it kept getting closer and closer, and all we had was 3 shells in a bolt action rifle, 7 mag, and we're just sitting there like, we're gonna fucking die tonight. And then we finally see the lights of the guy that came to pick us up, the hunting guide. So we're like, oh my god, we're saved. But that's all. I'll go into that for now. But yeah, it's a lot of stuff. I mean, stuff like that really messed me up for a while, and that's what my thinking, and I guess you'd call it PTSD, but I resorted to a lot of bad things back then because of that, to not deal with it. But you live and you learn, right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Factor of fear,
yeah, you know what? Sorry, Chris. I can't wait to hear the whole story with all the details.
Me neither.
Because he said he was saving that for Al whenever we have Al on. But man, that's awesome, bro. I mean, just that what you gave us right there, Tom, was like fucking badass, dude. I loved it, man. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to it again on the video whenever we're done, man, because that was awesome, bro.
Well, and, I'm gonna elaborate more next week when we get into.
Right.
I promised Al I was gonna just bring it all out, and because he wants to hear it so bad. And I told, hey, Goomba, I got you, man. When we talk, when we do our interview, I'll just just pour it out, and if I sound like I'm like I'm losing myself when I'm doing it, because whenever I talk about it completely, I mean my mind just starts, my heart starts racing. I get goosebumps. Yeah. I got a hard time talking because we live in shit like that. It's hard. I mean, even though it's like 20 something, 20 plus years past, I mean that shit still sticks in your head, and it's hard to that's why I'm glad these communities came out in the last 15 years, because talking about it, it really helps a lot. I mean, that's all I've learned.
That's
You
awesome.
talk about shit, it helps. I mean, even if it's someone that doesn't relate, just getting it off your chest. I mean, it's so helpful, you know.
Right. What year did you say those were, Tom? 98 and 96? Is that what you said?
No, not 98.
98.
Right around 1998, and like 2015 is the recent stuff from then on.
Oh, okay.
That's my Charlotte stuff. That's my Charlotte.
The Charlotte, North Carolina.
But I had some things happen in New Jersey too when I lived before I moved out of Jersey, when I was hunting with my brother, and we had some stuff like I was trying to retrieve one of his deer that he shot, and it was getting real dark at night, and I felt something following me when I was dragging his deer out of the woods by myself, and I had no flashlight. I'm just using the light of the moon and the woods that I was in, and I'm dragging his deer along a little stream and trying to get it out. And every time I turn around, I feel I hear I hear something making, you know, footsteps, and they're stopping every time I stop. So eventually, eventually
that's the classic. That's like the classic. Yeah.
I don't want to sound crazy, but I started making really loud gorilla noises and pounding my chest. I'm not even kidding you. I didn't know what else to do. I started making gorilla noises and pounding my chest really loud. You know that song "Down with the Sickness" in the intro when he goes, "Oh, you know."
Yep.
He does that. Well, I did that as loud as I could do it. I started pounding my chest, and then I just started breathing real heavy. And I don't know if whatever was going on stopped, or I just felt better about it, and it gave me some freaking confidence or something. But about 5 minutes after that, I kind of calmed down, and then I heard my brother's four-wheeler coming down the road. He had like a 50-foot rope, and we tied it to the deer. We dragged it back to his house, and we butchered it up that night and cooked it up. Had some deer meat, but I didn't even tell him about it because he don't believe in none of that stuff, and he never will, because he's one of those diehard hunters that if he even thinks about believing, he'll probably never go in the woods again because he loves it so much. But,
hey Tom, my buddy Kelly from the UFO group.
Yes.
He asked, where in Canada?
This is along the Algonquin State Park. It was a place called KOA River Lodge, and it was a bear hunting fishing resort right along the Algonquin's Park. And I think it's Ontario or Ottawa River part of Canada, but it's by the Algonquin State Park, because not too long after I started getting into like following the cryptid thing, and back in 2015, 2014. I mean, I've always been into stuff my whole life. I watched Monster Quest, all that stuff. I mean, you name it. But when I started really delving into it and listening to Kumbo and Bear and all that, and learning about the 7 shoots, and they're talking about the Dogman. But that being said, I got into it. But what were you asking again now? Because I'm talking about the Beast of 7 Shoots.
That what part of Canada?
Yeah, so I looked at some Bigfoot sightings, and there's a crap load of them by that Algonquin State Park, because there's a huge river there. And I mean, you got elk, you got moose. I mean, we had a moose run up next to our truck, and that thing was bigger than the freaking truck when it's
I've seen them. I mean, they're giant.
Yeah,
I've seen videos of the elks. They come out, people driving by, and the elks come out like that, and like huge moose. Oh my God, they're freaking huge.
Yes.
They're bigger than the trucks that people are driving through.
The moose was bigger than our Suburban, and the Suburban was jacked up, and it had big mud tires, and it was jacked up, had a big lift on it, and the moose was bigger than the truck. But Chris, somebody wants to know about the lichen loop. Can you have you heard about the lichen loop? Can you describe anything about that?
Lichen loop I've heard about briefly. I know Butch Rakowski and I believe Kumbo knows a bit more about the lichen loop, but reportedly it is this loop, an array of location where reportedly people are seeing creatures that might be dogmen, or perhaps maybe a werewolf-looking creature, something more than that. Now, to clarify a little bit about it, because lichen loop is a little interesting to me. It is in Altoona, PA, and it covers a certain amount of radius in between Chambersburg and St. Mary's, and then right around is Elk State Forest or Sproul State Forest. And this has been kind of the hub for reported, like I said, werewolf-like creatures, dogman creatures, and There's been reported missing people in this area too, so it has like a bit of a spin to it. There's the Lichen Loop. There's Werewolf Springs. I know I spoke to the Cryptid Studies Institute about that, and that too being another hub and hot spot. And basically, like, to kind of put it into the mix, like all these other big areas, Lichen Loop, it's a little close to home because it's in PA, but I don't know a whole lot about it necessarily besides what has been said about it and what it looks like. It is interesting, though. It's creepy. If I have the time and I'm able to really go out to PA and revisit it in that area in Altoona, I love to explore it, but at the same time, I would want to go with somebody, too, who knows that area, because there is a lot of mysterious things reported, not just with the creatures, but just with the environment as a whole. So I don't know all too much about it, only just know what I've been specifically researching about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting place, though. It's a very good question.
Awesome. Lee, do you want to get into any of the things you were doing recently, like today, and talk about that? Because you were out doing some boots on the ground today,
I
weren't
can
you?
talk about that briefly. I can also what's up?
Yeah, hey guys, I just wanted to finish up on my questions real
Sure.
quick. I'm sorry.
Sorry, man.
Just so they won't be irrelevant, as for the further along we go,
Fire
we
away,
can just
Chief.
talk about whatever. Yeah. Another question that I had is, when did you start your YouTube channel? Because I don't know exactly when you started it. I just remember like joining your live streams and your enjoying all your pre-recorded shows and everything, but I really don't remember exactly when you started it.
Well, I originally began Paranormal X in March of 2017. That was my first demo show, getting into things. It was a little bit more immature back then because of the times and how things were, and surely it may not have been the best shape of form, but it was a good experience in beginning to know a little bit about the podcasting way of this field. And then I stopped doing that, and I started doing the Dogman X, which I was just reading encounters, but then at the same time, I grew out of that because I didn't want to be described as a narrator. So I took a break.
What year was that?
That was also in
Dogman X.
2017. That was just in December of that year.
2017?
Yeah.
Okay, that's when Tom was in there with you?
Yeah. He was in the group. I had a Dogman X group, yeah.
Right, okay, cool. Okay.
But I had a Dogman X YouTube channel. So that was the other spin. But yeah, so anyways, so from there, I stopped doing X. I didn't want to do the narration thing. I didn't want to come off as a narrator. And then I launched the Venomous Fringe in June of 2018, 10 Tales of Dogman being the first major series I did. And then I started doing my own separate things. I also started doing States and Activities series.
Yeah, I remember that.
I was documenting from the Cloaked Hedgehogs reports.
Right. And
I wanted to do another revision of that too, because I want to put actual, like, my own collected investigations. I was of course looking at this Google map for reference, but I kind of feel that it got lost out of touch because I was just reiterating what was already put out there, and I didn't want to put off like that nature. So to get to your point of the question, yeah, so since 2018 I did the Venomous Fringe, but starting with this year I started launching Beyond Fringe, which is basically the same thing, same YouTube channel, just different names.
Yes. Right, yeah, just an update on the name. Right. Okay. All right, cool, awesome, man. Thank you for answering that. Those are my personal questions that I've always wondered about you, Chris. And my last and my favorite, man, what is your favorite cryptid of all, or is it multiple cryptids, and why?
Yeah, it's a
nobody knows. I've never seen anybody ask you that.
No. And it's a good question because it's like, well, what one do you like? Everybody would think Dogman because I talked about Dogman, but really it's not even Dogman. My favorite is perhaps it's going to be Bigfoot. I don't the least creature cryptid of the verse I talk about, really, and it's my favorite. And I think mostly because I'm exploring more Bigfoot now than I am Dogman, because my views have kind of changed once more again on Dogman and how it's utilized in the field. But Dogman is it's actually my third. I also do like the Mothman. I think the Mothman stories are pretty interesting. I grew up on that too, so that would be my second tier. Loch Ness, Dogman, and Chupacabra are my top 5. I think that
wow, okay.
Chupacabra. There's so many
Yeah,
reports of that too. I mean,
yeah, yeah. And I've seen you do many shows about Chupacabra. I've seen you do like I don't know. I'm gonna say me personally remember seeing like maybe 3 that you did of Chupacabra. Like the last one was just recently, but like before, like in the past years, I remember you bringing up Chupacabra on the Venomous Fringe a couple times, and yeah.
I did like a live stream on it. I
Hmm.
never I know now I'm thinking about what you were saying because I was like, okay,
Right,
'cause I'm thinking I did a pre-record on it. No,
right,
I didn't ever did a pre-record. I did lives though on it. And I
right.
remember
There you
you were
go.
doing I did the AM, and you brought up a good
Hmm.
point. You brought up that too, and that was good because like for that too, like Chupacabra, I'm speaking to a guy from Texas, well, your
Right,
state, and
right. Okay.
he was collecting up a report of a not dog, of a Chupacabra report. Someone had reported something scaly, and it had
Hmm.
killed a goat, and that this
Hmm.
thing, its blood was drained, but it wasn't necessarily torn open. Something that we'd see a Dogman do, or Bigfoot snap the neck of the creature. So it was a rather interesting and kind of demented type of. It was freaky for what it was cited as, but to get to the gist of things, I bring it up because that creature has been so mainstream. I think back again, like it's been reported. Everybody is so misconstrued with it, what it could be, whether it's a wild
Right,
dog or a hybrid of
right,
something or an alien. Because the original
right.
chupacabra sightings, if you remember, they were in Puerto Rico, and
Yep.
Yeah.
people were seeing this giant, scaly reptilian-looking thing with red eyes.
Winged, yeah, winged and little horns and
Like
wing
a
and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah,
porcupine,
that's what I remember.
back
Yeah.
scales, all
There you
that.
go. The little
And
porcupine thing.
now
Yep.
this thing was reported again just recently. So it's kind
Yeah.
of like, well, is this original one back? Is it scaly?
Hmm.
Because we used to look at that wild hyena dog looking one.
Yeah, the
And I
one in
kind of,
Texas,
yeah,
they got it on film. A cop actually was driving and
that
it was
little one, right?
recorded.
Filming,
Yeah, that
it
little
looked
one.
like a
Yeah.
chihuahua.
With, yeah, with a big, extremely big head. Yeah.
Big fucking head.
Yeah. Like unproportionate. It looked like a cow's head on a damn dog. You know what I mean? Like,
It was huge. And
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and there's even one stuffed in a museum, reportedly.
Mm-hmm.
So you have all these little like things of it. If it is real, then yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely, this thing has different variants. But
Yeah.
chupacabra, Spanish, it's goat sucker.
Right,
So a
right,
chupacabra
exactly.
could be anything. A chupacabra can even
Right.
be
An
as
alien.
yeah, as demented as fucked as it could be. A
Right.
human being sucking blood out
Right,
of a
right,
goat.
Yeah.
You
right.
know,
No, that you know what? Going back to the one in Texas, that because it was reported in Texas. That one I've seen another video where they have one in a cage, like captive. So I honestly don't think that's the chupacabra, man. I think that's more like a weird looking canine, wild dog canine thing, from the
mhm.
woods. I don't know. It could even be like maybe somebody experimenting with different animals and dogs and such
Yeah.
the island of Dr. Moreau or
Monroe.
whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, like weird experimenting, like the what's that one with that pig
Montauk,
looking up? Montauk. Yeah,
Montauk
Montauk.
Island, Long
There you go,
Island,
that
New
one.
The
York.
It
Montauk
looks
monster, yeah.
right. It looks like a pig and it looks like
Yeah.
different
Got a beak
different
on
stuff.
its nose.
Yeah, beak on its nose. Yeah. So it's like it looks like it has like 3 different animals in one, right, Tom?
They tried to say it was a raccoon in the news or on the newspapers. What they tried to say it was like a deferred, furless raccoon that was laying on,
Yeah.
somehow got washed on the shore. But there's really no way for a raccoon to get out there. That there's testing facilities out there, and I think
Right.
our friend Al knows all about that. Montauk
Island.
Island. Yeah.
Montauk. Yeah, man. That's a great topic
That
right
is
there, man.
a
That's a whole show right there,
Oh,
dude.
so,
Yeah.
the Plum
Better get
Island.
some.
It is a very interesting place in New York, and where it's
Yeah.
at, and what it does. Like, I mean,
there's
it's
no
based.
access. There's no access for regular people. If you're just like a standard citizen, you're not allowed to go there at all. It's a private property. Signs everywhere.
Like the Area
Right.
51 or the government
Yeah.
nuclear testing sites in the 50s.
Yes.
Access.
Exactly.
Bright
Hey, so
light,
Chris,
watch out.
Hey,
um,
Chris. So,
yeah.
Chris, did you want to start with the images, bro, or videos that
Yeah,
we
we'll
can
share some stuff
review
with you
together?
guys.
Yeah.
The
Tell
Yeah.
us what you think about those.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing is that these images, there's nothing special about them. There's nothing like, I
Right.
mean, my special is basically there's no Bigfoots in them. There's nothing,
Right.
and I can promise you that there's no faces in these. The
Oh.
reason,
Oh.
the reason why
Right. Right.
the
Mm-hmm.
only
I'm
reason why
sorry.
I'm
Go ahead.
sharing these is because I just want to go over a couple things too that I was also learning today because I was out in the field with an investigator and we were just exploring a certain part of Jersey today. And this is some of the stuff we did. We were going out and we were just kind of investigating for a little bit and looking at certain areas. So I'm going to just go ahead and I'll share the screen so you guys can
Okay.
see it.
Cool. Yeah, man. Cool.
All right. So
All right. What we got there?
So this is Menatico State Park in Millview, New
All right.
Jersey. So it's by Vineland, New Jersey. And this
Okay.
is one of the sand pits we were at, like this whole area. So you can get a good idea out of like the region. You could see this little dirt mound back there going back, but we couldn't really get anything here because there's so many tracks. You can even see some tracks right there. I'm not even zoom in a little bit. So you can see, like, you can't. I'm not saying these are Bigfoot tracks or anything. I just want to clarify that. I'm not trying to promote that, but I'm just
Hey,
trying to.
but you know what? But you know what? That does look like a very good Bigfoot territory. That what I mean, like all the trees and
Yeah,
the trails and stuff. I mean, that'd be like perfect prime Bigfoot, territory right there,
How
man.
far is that from the bay or from the ocean? The ocean side. How far is
this
that
was
from the
just the
water?
early. This was one of the earlier. So we crossed. This is about only like 300 feet from the parking lot.
Mhm.
So very early. I show it because this was one of the places we looked at, and this was you can see like there's a whole bunch of track from ATV, some dirt, people walking their pets. So it's very easy to kind of look at some of these images, and it's also very easy for someone to kind of say in the background, like, "Oh my God, there could be something there." Like if I were to zoom in right here, and then somebody can probably see like an image like that right there, they would probably say, "Oh, there's a Bigfoot hanging right there." But how would you? Or you would see like a tree. I'm not
You
saying
mean
that.
like the pareidolia thing? That
Right, yeah.
yeah.
Because, and I could see why. Because, yeah, it does look like it has a structure to it. It does kind of look a little tall for what it is. I mean, let's zoom
Mhm.
in on a little bit more. Like, take a look at it. Yeah, it looks like a tree from a far distance, but yeah, it can also look like something like that. But that's not what it is.
Right above your arrow, like right above it, like say maybe an inch or whatever, that dark spot that could portray to be a Bigfoot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Bigfoots are known to climb trees and to hang on the trees. Yeah, I've seen that. I've actually seen videos where they move around on the trees.
Or cloaking.
Yeah.
And because it was windy today, it's
Mhm.
very easy for trees to rustle a bit and someone can misidentify it as something moving.
Yes, and that's that's another thing I wanted to bring up with you, Chris. What do you think about that, man? That how well we all want to believe, right? With Dogman and Bigfoot, I get that. We all want to believe that. We want to believe it's true, but do we have the proof to prove it though? That's the thing. Now, a lot of people try to prove in some way that they see something with the picture and just trees and saying there it is, look guys, whatever, and then everybody goes in and like, what the hell are you talking about? I don't see anything. This is a case of a pareidolia is what they call
Right.
it, that where you imagine you see something there because you want to see it so bad or whatever. But okay, so like in a lot of those people, poor people, they get bashed from dickhead people, you know what I mean? They're like, oh, I don't see nothing there. You're fucking crazy and all this, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm not one of those. I would never do that to anybody, but
Right.
I have went in there and said in a comment, can you please point it out? Because I don't see anything, you know what I mean? And that's a fair question, right? I mean, but there are people that are bullies and no, you don't know nothing. No, you don't have nothing. That's pareidolia this, pareidolia that. What do you think about that? What's your take on that, Chris?
1 second, guys. I got to take a quick break. I'll be right back.
Sure, no problem. No
Right
problem,
back.
Tommy. All right, buddy. What
Um,
is your take on that, man?
yeah, that's a good question because again, one of the big
Because
things
some people get offended by that,
oh,
what I mean?
very. No, I mean, listen, there have been times where I've really looked at a piece of evidence and I thought it was really real, but then it is disappointing to know in the long run that it's not. And I think that's what a lot of people have to take into consideration, that when you look at evidence, you have to kind of, for one, if you're a researcher, you want to go ahead and you want to run it through some sort of software, Photoshop, Lightroom, or another type of decoding software that will be able to pick up fabrication. Or if, let's just say, there's somebody in a gorilla suit and they're trying to play it off as Bigfoot, I'm sure that if someone enhances that image and can pinpoint all these different fabrics, anybody can look up a gorilla outfit online, and it's very simple for someone to hoax it. There's video footage of people who can also, when you enhance footage, we go by movements, we go by how the body walks, how the body runs, how the person responds to it. Now, you mentioned pareidolia, or dolia, how else it's pronounced. You mention it, and it's a good thing too, because the thing is that it's one of the big perks of why we have a different perspective and almost a division on what these creatures could be in the field, because some people who see these blobs or see these beings that they look at, these, or they say it's spiritual, or if they see it as something supernatural, then yeah, to the human eye who may not believe that, they're going to see it and they're not going to see a thing in there and be like, well, I don't really see anything. But then they get mad at you because they do, and that's fine. It's because they don't want to be wrong. But at the same time, you also have to be a respectful researcher and not just say that there's a Bigfoot in this picture, because then to me, that's gullibility. You're going to believe everything's Bigfoot. There's not the case at all. There have been times where I thought Bigfoot's been in a picture and it's been wrong. Yeah, I was pissed that it was
me too.
hoaxed, but you know what? I mean, I'd rather know the truth than follow this train that wants to debone around the truth instead of just presenting facts. So, you know, to answer your question also too, you know, I think it's a thing where I think if people say that they have these things in their photographs, that sometimes I think because they're screenshotting it, I think 9 times out of 10, I was talking to a couple of people about it the other day. Some of the things that they might capture, they might see, but they screenshot it. They probably don't know how else to really enhance it, because I don't think everybody uses Photoshop, nor does everybody knows how to use Lightroom. So they might not be able to like crop something out, or because it's so far back, they might get a good picture quality. But at the same time, we've seen thousands of times how trees could play out to be shapes of figures, but that's just our mind playing tricks on us. Keep in mind, when people see things, you're in the woods, you're alone. If you're alone and a fool in the woods alone, then yeah, you're going to see things. Your mind's going to play tricks on you. You're going to think you're seeing things because your brain is censoring anxiety, fear, and even furthermore, maybe slight depression, because you're going to be feeling all sorts of not just depression, paranoia is the word. But yeah, like going back to that first image though, I just wanted to just say that, like, you know, like it's very simple for somebody to make something and make pareidolia in it that could play off as something that's rather not what it says. You know?
Exactly. Hey, I'm sorry, I did have a last question for you. Have you ever gone out in the field to do your own research, which I know now you do, but when was like the very first time you went out to do your research, you know, like in the actual field, Chris?
Back in 2017. I went to Wharton State Forest, which is an extension of the Barrens, and I was with a couple people because I had a friend of mine who now resides in South U.S. in Kansas, who had a Dogman encounter around the Wharton State Forest. And his report, as he's told me best, was that he was with his buddy one night. I've told the story on Vic's show. I also told the story on my show. And basically, he was with his buddy camping, and they heard rustling north of them. But it was like mid-fall, so it was very like cold out. There's like no deer around, at least what they would think, or something of that area. Now the funny thing is, they didn't see any tracks or any like deer tracks in the day, so they didn't expect it to be like deer at all. So they had like a
Right.
headlamp and they had a flashlight, and they're just going around the area because they're regular guys. They didn't know what they were going to see. And they see something rustling, and then next thing you know, it goes and it comes,
Hmm.
it they shine the light next, and this thing looks at them, and it just like grins like that. So it as a response, they left, they ran, they were terrified, and it was pretty, it was gruesome. I'm only pausing real quick because I know that Tom left the chat, left the room.
Yeah, no.
So
Yeah, I was looking at that. He kind of goes in and out. I don't know if he's having problems or whatever, but I seen him come back for a second and then leave again. So, but I'm pretty sure he's trying to get back in.
okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that incident though, it traumatized my buddy, and he saw a photo of the LBL beast, and it made him break down because he was that terrified of it, because it was just like reminding him of like, wow, I saw something similar with a grin, with blood, and it just looked evil, looked like something from hell.
Mhm.
They ran and they got into his truck and left, and they just never came back. And he was an experienced hunter. He loved going into the woods, but seeing that thing, it changed his perspective so bad. So we went back around the area back in 2017, and we felt very nauseous. We felt a little like unnerved. Keep in mind, we're just like kids with a couple experienced hunters. We're not necessarily like we're with people who have done it for years. That's the thing I like to distinct myself between others, is that I started my research with experienced hunters versus somebody who's had knowledge. And that's the people that know the area more, and that's how I build a ground. And then when I go out with other investigators, I enhance that ground because of what they have to say. So, yeah, no, to make a long story short, though, I think in the most freakiest of ways, though, we could see things and we can go about things and see these creatures, and they can change our perspective. And there he is.
There he is.
So,
Cool.
yeah, no. Welcome back, Tommy.
Thanks, guys.
Hey,
Sorry about that.
I mean, yeah, man.
I was trying to be courteous. I turned my camera off. I muted my mic.
Yeah.
Just trying to be courteous
Yeah.
for no noise in the background. I had to run out, grab something, use the bathroom, and I'm back. And as I was clicking on my camera, turn it back on, I think when I went to click on my mic to unmute my mic, I hit the red drop call button on accident. I'm like, oh crap! But nevertheless, I'm back. I'm here to stay.
Cool. Yeah. I had to unlock it real quick,
Yeah.
Tommy, when you said you
It's all
couldn't
good.
get in.
It's all
It's
good
good now.
man.
Okay, cool.
What I miss
All
out?
right.
What are y'all talking about? Hunters?
Yeah, no, I was just elaborating to Carlito about my own report from my buddy who I talked about on Vic's show, my show, had seen the Dogman in the Wharton State Forest around the Barrens. And Carlito asked me when I first started going out researching, that was in 2017, and we were going out as a follow-up investigation to see what my buddy had seen, and we were just very nauseous, anxiety, a little nervous, and also at the same time, we didn't see anything, but it was still a pretty ravishing experience because it felt like something was there. We just didn't see nothing. So that would be the first time I really went out and started doing investigations. And in 2019, I did another one, this time still in southern New Jersey, because I feel that there's more activity there. And then just recently, before today, I also did one before, this time it was in the Poconos in PA. And other than that, that was last year, right before the pandemic. And then now, here we are today. I just recently did another investigation, this time in Manatee Park in South Jersey, which I still have photos of, too. So I can gladly show those, too, of some things.
Yes, please. Show us those pictures, man. Love to see that, man. Actual research in person, man.
Yeah, so we've seen this photograph. Now let's transition to the next one.
Okay.
This next photograph, this was one of the old
barracks.
Wow, that's cool.
So
weapons, battery rooms, aren't they battery rooms or something?
Something like that. We would think that there was at least one point mining because of the way the arm bar and everything is. You can see over here.
But does that go underground or what? I mean, is that like a
It
little
doesn't. We thought it did, but it
Okay.
actually, and I'll zoom in on it. Like
Cool.
you could kind of see right over here. Like you can see like the hole through the top, but it's the top of the like hill, so it just crafts up into leaves and stuff, and it's just like part of it's part of something at one point, but no longer. So now it's obviously a resort for anybody back there. Like there's people that go back here all the time, clearly with APVs and doing whatever, dirt biking.
Hey, hey, Al mentioned that might be a ammo depot.
It may have very well could have been at one point,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of hot spots. Like there's a lot of like fishermen too. A lot of people walking those trails. So, or whatever it was at one point, people, and you could see clearly graffiti. But we were ruling out a little bit. Well, it's very easy if something wanted to like kind of go in there for shelter if it was heavy downpour, because who's going to be in the rain in the woods like that?
Yeah.
If it was at a far spot. And I'm not saying now, just to clarify too, I'm not saying that there's any Bigfoots. Like there's possibly Bigfoots in this area. We were responding to a distress signal from a case from somebody who had reported seeing stuff there, and we wanted to investigate it. So if there is something that is there, then I could see that as a small shelter that would be able to live in there, or not live in there, but like to stay in there for a little bit. And this was right before some railroad tracks we crossed. So it's a very interesting spot. And
hey, Chris, so did y'all go in there? I mean,
No.
did y'all see how far that went? No.
like I said, it only goes up to like here by that other hole through the top.
Oh, okay, yes.
Like a hill of leaves, and then it goes up there, so it piles.
Hey, but wouldn't that make an awesome hideout for like any animal or cryptid?
Oh, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Like it could be a great hideout for something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's probably unsafe structure. I mean, you got to worry about that concrete collapsing on you when you're in there. I wouldn't have, that's hard to go inside something like that. You got to worry about, the damn ceiling caving in on you while you're in there.
And this is old cement too, so like it's been around for like decades. So it's already cracked. You can see the cracks above the top, and obviously something like from damage from weather or whatever, people just ripping it, like stuff like that. It's always been something that's came off. And this awesome. Area as a whole, it has a lot of graffiti, and there's a lot of people back there. So this next image, though, it's actually a video.
Hey, ooh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, look at the train tracks. Man, that's awesome, man.
Let me, okay.
I'd love to go there.
So this is from another perspective.
Oh, okay, cool. Wow. That's cool, man.
You can see the tracks, as you said.
All them abandoned railroad ties, too, from the old tracks.
Oh, yeah. I'll play it one more time, too. Like, you can even see, like, up here, like, there's a steep, there's another wall, graffiti.
Yeah, I see that wall, yeah.
We were pretty far. We were going this way. But, like, I'm even showing from this perspective, like, right over here, there's a, there's underneath the railroad tracks. And we were looking down, too, because anything could be down there. It's right before the water, and we're right above the water. So right around this area in particular. And then
so is that like a creek back there right past the
it's like a water stream.
Railroad tracks?
It's like the track's like one whole stream, and it kind of cracks open into other different parts of the area, and it's like its own peninsula almost.
Right. Wow.
Now, did you feel any kind of strange feeling when you were there, Chris? What the person you were investigating with?
Since I was there, good question, because those are things that, of course, you think of when you're out there, right? I didn't feel at all like I was freaked out like I was when I first went out. I think because I went with somebody who had more research experience and was knowing their grounds more than other people I've been out with who are just avid hunters. I'd have to say that I was more comfortable, but also too because we were around people. Like there were people around the area, so anything was going to pop its head out wasn't going to be anywhere near where we were at. So that's when we expanded farther into the woods where we could find things. So just to get an idea of the location of the area, like I said, there's no Bigfoots in anything I'm sharing with you guys tonight, but to get an idea on the locations and like saying, okay, this is how far we're going out. Past these railroad tracks is where we can easily just go into any of these little sides and go and explore. And it takes us towards water, but we're walking on our feet for like 25, 30 minutes.
Right, right. Hey, Chris. Now, do you know if this area where you researched today is it known to be a hot spot for Bigfoot or Dogman or anything like that?
Well,
Did
the thing is,
anybody
like,
tell you that?
yeah, no, and the thing is that there was a response call from an investigator that when I was talking, this investigator I was going out with today, we were following up on somebody who had reportedly seen Bigfoots and a ghost in the area. And we were looking at all hot spots, we were pinning it, and we were looking around. We were in certain parts of this area, and we covered mostly the west side, the east side, and we were just walking around the trails trying to see if we could find anything. And we don't think that they're that close to some of the like areas, like, because we were at least from the parking lot, we were about maybe 20 minutes in to where we passed by where we were at in that footage. So we were passing by the railroad tracks. So by that point, we're getting part to the deeper part of the woodland, because you cross those railroad tracks, you're getting to other parts of the trails. There's other entrances into this place too, because there's people that go fishing, like I said, ATV and bike riding. But where we were parked at, because we were right by the boat ramp, so that is where it leads us to where the creeks are, where it's the other part of the forest. So we were just responding to what this other investigator talked about, and from there. But it's a very interesting location, and it's something I will share with you guys and for everybody listening. We were leaving, right? And we were speaking to an individual who noticed our gear, and were curious of what we were doing. And they ended up asking because they reportedly said that they had seen something on the other side, because they were in one of the sand dunes. They were partying with the Jeeps. They had seen something, and then they saw 3 other ones up a hill. So there was 4 altogether. Wow. So because we only just heard it from people, we don't know how true it is. For one, they just saw the gear and they probably just want to get a laugh out of us. Who knows? Or they don't really know us at all, and they're like, okay, they're the real deal. They could talk about it. The person came off very genuine, but still, you got to take everything with a grain of salt. But he showed us the location where it would be on Google Maps, and it's something that I'd want to target and hit up again, because it's something that I'd want to investigate further. So this area reportedly does look like it has material, it has activity, but at the same time, it's really hard to tell right now, because of the for what we've collected today and what we went about. So this image right here, this one's interesting, because this is
X, the classic X.
This is where people will start making theories that it was a Bigfoot, or that it was some kind of prankster.
Right.
The second one is perhaps right. The other could be because if you could see the bends of the tree, like if you look right here, and I'll enhance on that, you can see that this came from how this side broke started from that.
Yeah.
It came apart from this tree, which caused this. Get to this one, you can't really see it on the camera, but there was another tree line, and it came, and that's how that one collided with the others additionally. That's from bad weather.
Right.
That's from the weather, snow, and in Jersey, where this is at, South Jersey gets hit hard with bad weather. So all of these state parks are getting drained with all their trees. So now where the theory of where this could be a Bigfoot, well, because it's an X, we hear about the shapes, right? Some people comment about how the structures, how they might make like a certain letter, or they might just make that X. I've also had the one, and I was learning this today from this investigator, that they might have certain tag markers where they might twist and make a shape out of some small trees and twigs, and kind of make them as a direction, so they can go certain areas in certain ways, so that they can go ahead and follow a certain trail or mark that trail. We've also saw a couple ribbons, like pink ribbons and smiley balloons. We don't think it's anything in particular, but it can easily be a hunter's mark, a Could be a fisherman's tag, so wherever they go.
Hey, Chris, I'm sorry to interrupt real
Yeah.
quick, man. I'll be right back, okay? I got to go to use the restroom real quick.
Go ahead. But yeah, no, like anybody, like for what I'm getting at is that there's many possibilities on everything here. Like this right here, we could easily say, yeah, that was a Bigfoot. A Bigfoot definitely made that. A Bigfoot definitely did that. But at the same time, it's like, did a Bigfoot really do that, or is that just what we want to believe because of what somebody had said? I don't personally think a Bigfoot did that because, again, you can see we have the damage from the tree, which clearly perpendicular creates that X, and it was just rather something ravish. So very interesting stuff. You know, Tom, if you were in Jersey again, I'd say let's go around this area. It's so nice.
You know, I might have to make a trip up north to see some friends and stuff,
Yeah.
and make my way up to Jersey. Just do like a little summer road trip, and hit some places in between North Carolina and Jersey, and then Jersey and maybe some PA, and who knows? I mean, shoot, it's possible. It's just a matter of getting vacation time and being able to get away from the house and do something. Get some time and some investigation time. But I would love to do it. It's really a good idea. But I had some Al Santariga wanted to know about did you protect yourself spiritually or physically before you went out there?
Oh, of course. And, you have to.
And, did you get any EVPs as well?
Well, we went out there, with the one device, and I always forget the name. Tom, you gave it to me off the top of the head when we were speaking prior. The one with the horn, the foghorn looking thing, and the headphones. What'd you say it was again, my man?
What's that? Oh, the parabolic.
Parabolic.
Yeah.
The one thing that you would imagine, like the one thing, right? And so
I'm back, guys.
What is up? The parabolic. So I used the parabolic, and I was out there, and I didn't get any EVP readings. All I just got was wind whistling, howling, birds chirping, high pitched chirps, and
you're gonna hear it all with that. You're gonna hear everything amplified times 10, no matter what.
Right. And nothing out of the ordinary. And as for protection-wise, absolutely, you have to protect yourself. You do a little prayer before, prayer after, everything. And I do believe in that. Obviously, I do incense. I protect myself. I'm into that, and I do it because I know of the evil, the bad juju. People can make fun of it and shit on it all they want, but you know what? I think people who don't do that become so fucking negative, and then as a result, it
brings something back with them.
It brings something back with them. They get this obsession. They get crazy. All that type of stuff. But yeah, absolutely, Al. I did protect myself. Good question. Very good question.
Right.
I don't think anybody really, that when you're going out investigating, you really should think about that too. Anything.
Right.
Even not just people think you can just protect yourself from paranormal, but you cryptid stuff too.
Absolutely.
Hey, Tom, I just posted. Well, I commented it on the chat telling the guys to get their questions ready.
Yeah.
That way we can start
ready. Get your questions ready, everybody. We're gonna start.
Yeah.
Questioning, Chris, certain things, and I know Al has a bunch of questions, so just save them for a minute, Al. We're gonna get to you.
Right.
You got a lot of good questions as well, Al. But anyone else has questions, just get them ready because in the next 5 minutes we're gonna start. We're gonna start asking Chris some questions about like investigations, his spot today. I mean, anything that you want to ask him, feel free.
Anything at all.
Any kind of question you got for Chris, go right ahead and send it over to him. Send a line out.
Right. Hey, Chris. So on that picture right there, did I miss anything, or was that picture right after?
I was just basically concluding about the X and where it comes from and how it could be easily to be misintruded as a Bigfoot structure when it has other different possibilities. This new photograph, however, now this is something that was nothing crazy. I thought it was pretty cool as much as the other investigator that I was with today. And these are deer bones. We found them midway through into this forest area where we were at, and they did pretty good. It was interesting because right in this photograph, you can't see it because it's up the hill, but down is a creek. There's a water supply. So something could easily, if there was a Bigfoot out here, could munch on that. You'll get water from the stream. But I just wanted to share that other photo because that was pretty interesting. To me, it was one of the more interesting photographs we took today. But that's basically where I was researching today. I was out in that area, and it was a very good investigation. It was fun, and I'd love to explore it again if given the opportunity. But yeah, that is it on that. It was very good to share.
Okay, I got one question for you already from Mendoza Felipe.
What's up, amigo?
It says, Chris, do you do the same place over and over to try to build up a relationship with the target species?
Good question.
When I was in Wharton, I wanted to go back a few other times because I wanted to get more out of the area. But because of scheduling and also because when I originally went back, I did not feel the most comfortable. I got a reading that, yeah. And keep in mind, too, I only got that reading because I was inexperienced. At the time, I was very inexperienced, and I didn't know a lot of certain things about protection, about certain things to look out for. And I was also gullible, too, because surely you could turn your head like this if you hear a twig and be like, oh, my God, that's a Bigfoot.
That's something. Mm-hmm.
People will freak out like that. And that was something I talked with a lot of people about. And it's debatable for everybody to freak out like that, but even when I'm interviewing like people about it too, experienced investigators are like, yeah, well, you think anything's Bigfoot out in the woods, then you're just stupid. I hate to say it, but that's basically how it is. You are if you go about it like that, because you'll believe anything if you see that. Not everything is Bigfoot. Hell,
a squirrel, a dove, a bird, all that noise that squirrel makes. A squirrel sounds like a friggin' deer when you're hunting in a woods. So imagine what other things will sound like when you're out in the woods.
Imagine if a squirrel's jumping from one tree to the next and it makes a click with the branches. People will turn their heads and be like, oh my God, I thought I heard something over the back. And it's like, calm down. You're going to get yourself excited over
Mothman.
Well, yeah.
Mothman is on top on a branch somewhere in the tree behind you.
Well, there was also a theory, a debate on it too. In those, when I was talking to this investigator, that this person claimed that they could possibly be hiding in the trees, and it's like I don't think so. If this thing wanted, like he put it best, if it wanted to be seen in trees, I think that why would it want to be so above? Why would it wouldn't want to stay hidden the way they want to be? It would expose itself up in a tree because I'm sure that anybody can turn their head up a tree and then be like, oh my God, there's a giant ass creature just staring right at me.
Exactly. Well, you imagine the worst, and you turn around as a damn squirrel. You know what I mean? I mean, being out there doing what you're doing, only you know what you're doing.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? or what you're looking for.
Yeah, no, exactly, man. Exactly.
Them animals don't know what you're looking for, and they creep up on you out of interest. Out of curiosity, and they scare the shit out of you. I mean? Little squirrel scratching the damn bark off of a tree behind you or something.
And we came across
questions.
We came across the ripped tree bark too, but we didn't obviously think Bigfoot. But at the same time too, very good question. Yeah, I went back. I want to try to go back to this one place though again because I do want to see if there is something there. Maybe we can find something. Maybe something was watching us and we don't know. We looked at all of our surroundings, no matter what. But you never may know. That's the idea about being an investigator. Just because you may not find anything the first time, you might find something different the next time.
Right.
We weren't doing anything. Exactly. We weren't violating anything necessarily. Like I know I go by a code in a sense, like, the territorial respect.
Right.
Because we were quiet. We didn't, we looked around and we made it pretty clear. We weren't hearing tree knocks. We weren't hearing anything special. We just hearing wind and birds.
Right.
Good signs.
Hey, Chris, adding to that question that Al did that Tom asked you, he's saying, what was the acreage of the park you investigated today? Like, how big was that?
Personally, to be honest with you, I don't really know exactly because...
But like a guesstimate, you know what I mean? Like, how big do you think it is? Like,
I'd have to say roughly, maybe 11 miles worth, because it's it's pretty huge. Like where we were at, like even if I could, like on the Google map, like it's pretty huge, and
Hmm.
it's for some people it may not necessarily be too huge, but it's decent enough size to where, yeah, something could easily be around that area, or so to speak, in that particular range. So real
Right.
quick, I'll just to show you a little bit of the area,
Hmm.
because I actually can
Okay.
I'll screen share it.
Okay.
Let me just pull up the thing. I'm just trying to
Hey,
get.
right, right. While you pull that up, I have another question from Kelly. He's
Okay.
saying, have you ever been in Canada looking for cryptids or Bigfoot in
Never.
Canada?
I do want to go to Canada
No.
though. I do.
Yeah, I
There's
know.
a lot of
That'd be
things in
awesome.
Canada.
Yeah, I know. That'd be awesome, man. If we could go
So
one day.
We
this
got.
is where
All right, go ahead.
we were at. Now, of course, I'm using Google
Oh,
Maps, but
right.
you can see how huge.
Yeah, yeah.
That's big.
Like it's
That
pretty.
is
It's
big.
decently
Mhm.
huge for what it
Yes,
is. We were right
yes.
around this area right here. Like I don't have a marker on me, but we were right around this area. So
Right.
right by the boating ramp was right around this area, particularly right here, and then just to go through this particular piece, we covered base around this area today. This recent thing that this individual told us about while we were leaving, saw it right over
Hmm.
around this area over here. So we're going to try to see what we could find come next investigation. But
Right.
that's just a demonstration of the area where we were at, how big it is. I'd say
Yeah,
11
that's pretty
miles,
big.
maybe more. It's pretty
Yeah,
huge for what it
yeah.
is.
It is pretty big.
But
Hmm.
yeah, no, good question. And for Kelly's question
Yes, it
too,
is.
Canada, like I said, I love to go to Canada. There's a lot of things there, a lot of different Bigfoot type stories, a lot of different Dogman type stories I've heard, the Gugwe, Genesqua,
Mm-hmm.
all these type of things. So, but never been to Canada, but I hear it's nice over there.
I know it does.
It
It
is
looks.
nice. I've been
It
there, and
is nice.
it's like God's country out there. I mean, this was like 20 something years ago. I'm sure they built it up a little bit, but there's still wilderness forever out there. We got one
Yeah.
more question from
Yeah.
Antonio.
Yeah. Go
Um,
ahead.
he wants to know, Chris, what are your thoughts on the YouTube spirit box celebrities contacting famous dead people? Do you think it's credible, or are they charlatans, tricksters, etc.?
I think it's a
Nice.
What's
good
your
way
take
to
on
make a
that?
buck. I just think it's honestly a good way to make a buck. I mean, listen, I know there's a lot of people that use spirit boxes, but if you're only using a spirit box, like I know that one of the biggest controversies that was when Lorraine Warren passed away, and someone under 24 hours of her death had started using a spirit box to have a reading of Lorraine in the afterlife, and
Mhm.
I don't approve of them. I think it's kind of just like a ploy just to get people just to, force something out of it compared to an EVP. But at the same time, I also respect it to some people who don't know much about a certain location because of the history, besides some of the ghost encounters. So it is useful in some aspects.
Hmm.
Just with celebrity stuff, I don't think it's useful. I just think it's just a quick way to make a buck, because if we can contact the dead who were famous people who died, we can do anything. But I don't really buy into it. And plus with reality television too, I think it's all BS 90% of the time.
Yeah, well, we
Hmm.
we've talked. We have a mutual friend that has dealt with the Travel Channel, and a lot of the stuff that they do with these shows. It's pretty much their agenda, and half the stuff that you have to bring, that they make you retract it, and they want you to put their stuff on their TV to make television, and that's all they care about. So
To make something
that's how it goes.
scarier, to make something
Yeah.
elaborate, to where it would be more organic, so that people would be intimidated,
Mhm.
because that's what intimidation is all about. Make something that will scare people so that we can make ratings.
That's why they all do this thing with the really high intense, suspense. Whatever's going to happen always happens before a commercial, and you got to keep watching it till the commercial's over to see what happened. They get you to keep watching it.
Scary
It's
sound
just a little.
effects, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That's awesome. Hey, you know what? I did want to add a while ago, but my mic was on mute, and it's when I was sipping on my drink again.
That's all right.
Sometimes I forget, but man, when you were saying that you went to that place, Chris, you remember last night I was telling you, man, I would love to go out there on a research with you one day, and you were like, yeah,
Sure.
man, I'll talk to the guys and see if I can arrange something for our next, um research if it suits you, you know what I mean, if it's not too too soon, or
We'll
your
organize
budget
something.
you have you have your budget to to actually come through to do it with us. I was like, yeah, man, that would be cool. I mean,
We'd want
I'm
to
not
do
gonna say
something.
like right now, I'm
Right.
not gonna say like next week, I'm saying like in the near future, you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
next week
I
was
would
an
love
option.
to.
Let's do it. Same
I
with
mean,
you,
I would
Tom. I mean, if it
love
was
to,
next week, let's get it going.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
the thing is that with this
I'd love for me and Tom to go with you and your guys. You know what I mean?
this
That's what
one
I'm trying to.
investigator who I was going out with, he's very knowledgeable. He was very informative, and he wasn't thinking like
Mhm.
a hunter. He was thinking like a researcher. There's a difference, and he was showing me all sorts of things, and it was more informative than how I felt when I originally started going out researching. I took someone else's notice and has agreed to do it and see it and did it properly. You know, I wasn't judging their different protective view or calling them bullshit for their way of exploration and how they investigate. But he's very informative. He would want to build this organization because there are people that, before me, they was going to do it for him, but they never did. I was the only one that came through. I took the time out of my day to do it, and it was fun. It was exciting. It was great. Did I go in there thinking I was going to see Bigfoot and come out seeing Bigfoot? No, because I know I wasn't going to see Bigfoot today. And not that I want to. It's the idea that you go out there, you research, you find the experience, you come out and you get something. Next time you might find something different. Hell, maybe next time we go deeper into the woods and I might find a print. And then who knows?
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
I feel that we should
Right.
build a foundation of respect, though, for the territories. I think when you go out and you research, not talking about being an armchair researcher, I'm talking about being an actual investigator and going
Right.
out there and actually finding things like I went out there today trying to find things. And one of those
Mhm.
things being is that once you go out into those woods, you begin to respect their territory if there is something out there. And it's not just their territory, it's also deer, bears, wolves. There's been reports of wolves in the
Right.
area. So, like all
Right.
of these things you got to take into consideration when you're doing this type of
Nature.
stuff. It's nature.
Mhm.
You're in their
Right.
territory. So
Right.
I take that very keenly. People out there who are thinking they're going to see Bigfoot in a snap of an instant,
Yeah. No.
it's
No,
not
that's
right.
not gonna
That's not the
happen.
right way to go. It just isn't.
Right. Exactly.
Most of
Hey,
those
I
are
got another.
chance encounters anyway, so don't look.
Yeah,
Right.
really.
Go ahead, question.
I got another good question. It's from Mendoza, your buddy Mendoza Felipe.
Felipe.
He says, do you ever research areas where you've got recent reports? Yeah, that's a good question, man. Did you ever
See,
research?
before the pandemic,
Mhm.
I really wanted to touch base with a lot of places. One of them being in northern Jersey, particularly Sussex County. There's a lot of Bigfoot activity in Sussex County.
Oh yeah.
And I wanted to go there, but I couldn't because of the pandemic and how everything was shut down. It's funny because some places where I go for my local walks or runs and parks, I was talking with this investigator and he was telling me about, oh yeah, there's been reports around that area, and I was blown away by it because I was kind of like, okay, I've been in these places multiple times before, and I've always felt maybe because something could be there, but that's also because I'm just going from my daily routine of walking. So
Mhm.
I'm in the woods. I'm gonna feel that way. I've been in places like that. Like I've been there's a few parks where I'm at that I do want to go there and actually do investigations with, because for one, there's reported activity, and two, there's a lot of woods. I was in one of the I went back with me and my fiance. Went back into the creek. There's a creek that extends. And something for some people, if you watch my show, if you watch some of the older episodes, like before the hiatus in August, I started showcasing some new photographs of like the slideshows. People don't understand this, but like that's not photos I get offline of the woods. Those are my photographs I take. So I'm investigating areas. Those are my pictures.
Uh-huh.
You won't find them
But
on Google.
but more okay. Well, that was. I want to add to that question.
Mhm.
Do you ever research areas that your eyewitnesses give you, bro?
Well, for the one, my friend who had that encounter by Wharton State Forest, yes, that was one. I
Cool.
briefly spoke with a mother and son in right around the Cape May area who had seen a dogman looking creature crouched on the side of the road. And
Mhm.
going there today and seeing all these different roads, seeing all these back roads, it's very easy for something to want to be crouched on the side of the road. There's so much wood, there's hills too. And the speed limits, people are going either 40, or if you're a New Jerseyan, you're going to go 50 or 55. Um, and you make these curves, and it's very easy for a creature to be hidden. So I did that too. The only reason why, again, I haven't really went out and further investigated a lot of these other places, and I do want to, is because, again, is because of the pandemic and time. Time has always been heavy. Like, this is the first time I've really went out since 2019, 2020. But, like, it's still not bad
Mhm.
for what it is. And just because I didn't find anything today, like I said, it could be something next time. But I do want to go to several other places, like I said, like the parks that have had reported
Right.
activity to get more insight on. I want to do something where I'd be there almost all day exploring all certain aspects if I can find something. So
Nice, nice. Hey, I got another question from my buddy, my good buddy, Ezekiel Allen, aka Marvin Allen. He says, what state does Chris think it's the hottest dogman spot right now?
it's either we're going to be looking at Texas, or we're going to look at
I have heard a lot
PA,
of Texas
Pennsylvania. It's
recently.
either going to be
Pen-
Pennsylvania or Texas.
okay.
I'd also put Michigan and Wisconsin in there because there's the Beast of Bray Road being one, and there's also
Right,
Michigan Dogman. But
right,
if we want to speak about the more frequent, where I feel there's more activity, we're going to
right.
have to.
Recent.
The top three for me might be Texas, Michigan, and Pennsylvania because
Yeah,
of the amount of mountain range and the amount of woods. Now, keep in
yeah,
mind, every state has woods, including Nevada, including
right.
Arizona, including the hot states,
Really?
New
Arizona?
Mexico.
I don't know that.
Well,
Really in
I'm sure
Arizona?
there is. I mean, like not like I'm not saying like there's like forest
Like big or
Greenland.
anything.
Like
Yeah,
I'm just saying like
yeah.
there's like you know
Patches of woods and
something
yeah.
besides tarantulas and Gila monsters.
Yeah.
But
Abs-
yeah, no, like I would say though, if realistically speaking, Texas, Texas would
yeah,
probably be the biggest one. There's a lot there.
yeah. Yeah, you know what? I agree with that. I agree with you on that, Chris, because I have heard a lot of encounters in Texas lately, bro. And I'm talking about like I listen to like maybe 20 cryptid channels on YouTube. So yeah, Texas is a big one, and I agree. I think maybe it's the number one hot spot right now. So that would be answering Marvin Allen's question. Do you have any more questions, Tom?
Yeah. Let's see. We've
I
got
think
some.
Al had one.
Yeah. Al had a question. Was it about? Let's see. I'm trying to scroll up here. Trying to get my thing to scroll up.
You had a real good one.
No, let's see.
He said, look, I got it right here.
There it
It
is.
says, Chris, do you ever investigate at night? That's a
No,
real good one.
I haven't had the opportunity to really do that because I, for one, want to go with people who'd be interested in doing it. Everybody I've tried to say, hey, we want to go out for like a walk in the woods at night, and they're like, hell no. Like, and I
Yeah,
get why though, because I mean, listen,
yeah,
who the hell wants to go into the woods? First of all, in the summer night where there's bugs, there's like
yeah.
so much
Yeah.
crap you can run into. Who the hell wants to go in the woods too when you see deer running around, all these other wild animals? There's like about like where I live, we have like this fat skunk, right? It's about like this big, and it's fluffy and it's fat, and Like, anybody sees that, and it's like, oh shit, there's a skunk there, and you get sprayed. Like, there's a lot of things why I haven't really went out there at night. Not pussying out of it, but like, I want to find the right people who want to do it, and actually want to go into these woods and find something besides run like a little bitch because they might see something like a skunk or spiders or some bullshit like that.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what, too? You know what, Chris? I was just gonna ask you about Ricardo. He just showed up, man. What a coincidence.
Yeah.
Hey, Ricky.
I was gonna ask you if I know he's gonna have some good questions for you, man. But because he's also a real good friend with you, like we are from back in the day. But maybe even more. But have you ever went researching with Ricardo, man?
I want to.
I do too.
I really do. I mean,
I do.
We've had fluent conversations in the past, and you know, Rick, he's shown me things, and I do take it, and I understand it, and I look at, like, I'm not saying that he's an encyclopedia and that he has every answer to Dogman, but when we come to scientific exploration, I think it's pretty on par. Whatever the hell it might be disagreed upon, that's because it's okay to disagree upon an opinion, but let's not push it to an extent to where it's going to get compromised to where it has to be believed like that. Everybody's entitled to different beliefs, but we also got to think realistically too, because not everybody's going to believe Dogman is a supernatural being that does somersaults into portals like Bigfoot comes out of the portal and starts running and does a dance and then goes the fuck back in the portal. You know, like, that's not, like, anybody that tells me that, I'm going to sit there, and I've someone said something very similar that really made me question what field I'm in, because they were so believable about it, but I also thought people control like that too. The internet's made of trolls. People troll people. So,
sad.
Yeah, it is sad, and anybody can make something up and fool with us a little bit and make us build these theories, and that's why we all lose concentration. Because of the spiderweb effect, as I call it.
Yeah. Hey, Tom, Charlie Kylene says she's ready, man. She's ready to go out in the field investigating.
All right.
Yeah, I know, man. Aren't we all right? Yeah, I'm ready to. Oh, Mendoza says, I'm your Huckleberry, Chris. Yeah, man, we need to set something up, guys. I mean, I would love
a big group investigation up somewhere, like, LBL, right in between the lakes or something. I just, that place just makes my blood curdle, and something about that place just makes me want to go there, and I don't even care what's there. I just want to go there, camp out with a bunch of people and see what's really going on out there, because I've heard so many stories about that place, and a lot of people that I know, a lot of people I know say that they never saw nothing there. They had no problems, camped out there for a week, didn't see shit. So, I mean,
I wouldn't want to go to LBL, man, honestly.
I would want to go there because I want to really look at this place, and I want to say, if this is supposed to be ground zero for a mysterious beast that could be Bigfoot or Dogman, vampire hotel, supernatural stuff happening in the area, weird animals being seen, if that is the ground zero, I want to check it out. But at the same time, I want to go with people who are credible, who are real investigators, who are going to know it. And if you guys want to tag along, absolutely. It would be something that would be a learning experience, at the same time, something to understand. These woods over there in LBL, Cryptid Studies Institute, I talk with Johnny, I talk with Elijah. These guys, they know that area. They've studied it for a while. Yeah. They've done a documentary on it that was very successful that I liked, and they talked a lot about it, that where it's like, this place right here is going to be like, this is whatever it was. Yeah, it definitely rained it here, and there's something here, these woods. Even if park rangers are keeping it on the hush-hush, then it makes me wonder what else is kept on the hush-hush.
Exactly. They keep everything on the hush. They don't talk about anything. And, they got their reasons. They don't want to lose their money in the tourism and the camping fees and all that. I mean, they'd lose a shitload of money if they started, disclosing what really happened there and what goes on and what's out there in the woods at night, because no one's going to want to go there.
Well, also, too, you have, that other thing going where they could easily turn it into, a publicity. They could make it publicity if they really wanted to.
Like Oklahoma.
Well, that right there is just a death wish for anybody out there who's naive enough to really start that type of BS. Because, and I'm going to be honest, I don't agree with it because I feel that that is trying to say that let's go ahead and let's kill Bigfoot, but let's go ahead also too, and because anybody's going to cash in on that. What if somebody else is out there running in the woods, right? And they just happen to, like, I don't know, hunter happens to see that, they shoot at the person. They kill a human being.
Yeah.
People are, it's a death wish out there.
Yeah, Hunter and Achilles who gets shot by a Bigfoot hunter.
Right.
But we got one question from Charlie Kylene. She said, I know what equipment to use for ghost investigations. What is the best equipment for a beginner in this field of cryptid?
Cryptid field.
Well, I'll go by what I was given today.
Night vision, parabolic.
The parabolic boom is good for sound. You put earphones in there, and okay, so to describe it best, you put it, how like people with speedometers, when they go see how fast the Dodges and the good Ferrari go, and like they put it up like this, the gun, or like how fast like someone throws a ball.
Right.
Very similar. We put it in the air, and you just check for frequencies. You just check for noises that are far away from a far distance. GoPros are good too. I think GoPros are very suitable. Cameras, regular cameras. I used my phone to take those photographs. However, any type of format of picture, a camera, like if you can hold a video camera, that's great. If you can hold a regular DSLR, Canon, Nikon camera, that's great. I use my phone because of the gigabytes and because it's one of the newer model iPhones, so it's better quality. And it saves me from also too holding other things. We use a Tascam recorder today. My one investigator buddy did. I recommend the small recorders like that are also used for UVPs so that you get other readings in the area. I wouldn't say trail cams because depending on the area that you're in, there's certain laws and restrictions. So if you put up something, the game wardens will take that down. They'll give you a fine. So I don't recommend that. But I would carry cameras. If you're going out at night, night vision, understand that a lot of this stuff is going to cost a certain amount of money, so you might be spending like $600 the most. And if you really want to really get somewhere, get a drone. That's like $900,000.
That's what I want. Yeah, that's what I want to do.
That'll document. That's a great way to document like your area where you're in. So it's like you could be in one spot, put the drone in the air, film it, catch it on the camera that you're like the app that you're using to film it from, and then get that reading. Okay, so this is where this is at. We'll go there. So I got that for beginners.
I got the GoPro Karma drone.
Okay, that's a good one.
And yes, very good. And that's what I want to do when I start going out in the field. I want to take the drone out so it can see me. It can see my surroundings. Up on the sky. Sky view. And I mean, I can't wait to use it, bro. But I was gonna ask you about GoPro cameras. My go-to would be GoPro because it has the best stability, and even if you're shaking, because everybody shakes when they see a damn Bigfoot or a Dogman. So even if you're shaking, it's gonna be a clear fucking picture.
Yep.
See what I'm saying? That's what everybody bitches about, a blurry, moving around camera or a blurry picture. So I would think that would be like the best way to actually capture something, GoPro.
Like a shoulder mount, or a hat mount, or even a helmet, mount, or even a head.
Yeah, helmet mount. Yes, chest mount. They got chest mounts. They got everything, bro.
They got it all. Yeah. We're getting close to the 2-hour mark.
But I mean, my question is to you, Chris: is that quality good enough for that? Like the GoPro?
The GoPro that my other investigator was using today was the one with 4K, and like depending on like if you have something that's like 720 by 1080 or 1080 by like 1920 or HD, like the best quality of them, anything would work like that. The idea of a GoPro too, besides recording, is to snap photographs, and you could take pictures of anything in this area. Let's just say you don't want to use your photography camera or your phone, you just want to use a GoPro. Those are good for that. Also, I know that you'll film like some of the surroundings too, so that like you, for next time you want to reinvestigate the area, like you look back at that footage and stuff. I'm awaiting now the edited footage of what we caught today from my other buddy, so that he could show whatever he wants to show.
Right.
For that. But yeah, no, I recommend Tascam recorders like we were using today, parabolic boom. and also EVP-like recorders, and also the GoPros. Those are great to start out with. I recommend them. Maybe not the best for some, but if you're really just starting out in the field, those are the best tools to use. And also a knife that I don't know how the law restrictions are in every state or wherever she's in. Don't go there unarmed, but bring like a pocket knife or something with you. Depending on the inches, though, I don't know if it's like certain inches in each state. I know in Jersey it's like 8 inches or more. That it's illegal. It's considered to be like, of course, a threat. So just be careful. And if you are able to go with somebody who has a license to carry, then please, by all means, go with that person. If you can't carry something small, minimal, or always have a flare gun on you. Always have a trail marker on you, like a ribbon or a tag. So like spray paint a tree so you mark your tag so you know where you're at. That might be a bit, though, controversial, because if you're looking at it from a territorial perspective, maybe you might be invasion on a territory, so maybe not particularly a tree. Maybe marker out maybe a certain fragment. Bring your own marker. Maybe put a paper there and just paint it over the paper. So that
markers are great. That way you can find your way out. And I was just about to ask you about a compass. Compass would be a good
I'd recommend too.
Yeah, and Charlie said thank you, Chris.
No, you're very welcome. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I guess we can start wrapping this up, guys. I see the people are starting to leave. I guess they're thinking that we're wrapping up anyway. So yeah. Any last questions or anything you want to add, Tom, before we wrap it up, buddy?
I think everything was covered. Like they said, when you're going out in the woods, investigating whatever it is, the main thing you got to worry is like protection. Is there's also you got to worry about the predators, the natural predators. You got to worry about the fox, the coyote, the mountain lions, the
cougars,
bears, wolves, whatever it may be. I mean, you got to worry about getting attacked by these things too. Besides the cryptids, I mean, that's their natural habitat. So you're going into their home. I mean, a mountain lion can creep up on you. You won't even know. They'll jump on you from the back. We talked about this last time, but it's just best to carry something small, whether it's a 22, 380, just to protect yourself from the natural creatures in the environment, But
exactly. Yes.
I will say this, for what this show is and for what you guys got, having me on here, it's great. I'm happy to do it.
Thank you, Chris.
Obviously, I've shown you guys, I've given you my insight. I've proven, if not to others who might think I'm a bunch of bullshit going out there not doing anything, I've proven that I go out and investigate. I've looked at things. I have many people that can back that up too. And everybody has their favorites. Everybody's entitled to it. At the end of the day, though, I'm the one who's trying to find truth about things.
Right.
Like anybody else
what it's all about.
In that mindset. So for you, Carlito and Tom, you guys have a vision. You have a concept. I like listening to you guys. I like your shows besides having me on the show as well. I like what you guys are doing. I've helped you out. I'm going to help you out some more. You want my help. You want to learn things. I'll be doing my best to do that and also introduce you to people who also have asked for my help and it's worked out for them. You guys got potential. I support you guys strongly. And I know that you guys are going to succeed and you're going to make a good living out of this, not in the profitable sense, but into the cryptozoology field and learning different things. That's like I did. My opinion's always changing. Surely I've been through some roadblocks, but still, everybody has it.
Yes, exactly. Our main goal is to, put the truth out there. You know what I mean? Even though, the government or whoever might want to, try to debunk it or deny it. We try to put the truth out there where people can actually learn something new. You know what I mean? It's always better to learn something and not need to use it than need to use it and not know how to do it, how to use it or what, you know what I mean? You understand what I'm saying, right?
I do.
Yes. So it's, it could save somebody's life. I've said it before. It could save somebody's life, out there in the woods one day.
Exactly. We come by with a no bullshit factor. We just want the truth out there. There's stuff being covered up. There's things out there being seen by people. Why is it being covered up? Why are the government not talking about it? Why won't they reveal it? So it's more than just a big furry creature in the woods. If that's your mentality, this ain't for you. But There's so much more involved with it. It's not just about, Bigfoot, Dogman. There's just so much more out there that needs to be brought out with the truth. And that's our job, to bring it out there, to talk about encounters, talk about, what's going on and how this comes about and why. That's the main thing. Why is it being covered up?
Right. Exactly.
Well, I had a great time tonight.
Me too.
Hey guys, everybody's been saying thank you, Chris. Kelly said thank you. Kelly, the UFO guy, one of our good buddies. Al said thank you, Chris. Mendoza, Ricardo, they're the last people that stayed in Charlie Colleen. And Ricardo said that his go-to weapon is a lighter and mosquito spray.
That too.
Spray that shit like a damn
blowtorch,
flamethrower. Blowthrower. Blowtorch, man. That's
ghetto
awesome.
torch.
That's a great idea right there, man. Yeah. Hey guys, so all right, man. Well, I my opinion is the same. I think we had a very good show tonight, man. I really enjoyed it with you guys. Y'all know I can stay on talking with you like me and Chris. We stay up talking for 5 hours at a time, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done that like 2 or 3 times already. We didn't even know we were going on 5 hours. You know what I mean?
But in 20 hours almost. It's crazy.
Yeah, man. Yeah. With all the times we talked all together, about 20 hours. Yeah, guys, I really enjoyed being here with y'all tonight. I love talking about these topics with you, Tom, and you, Chris. And this is just great for me, man. I think to me, honestly, this has been like my most enjoyable live that I've had so far. You know what I mean? So
they'll just keep getting more and more enjoyable as time goes on.
Yeah, they just get better and better.
I've loved all your shows so far. You guys are doing great.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And thank you for all your support, man.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean, Chris, and everything you show us, you teach us. Because he maybe you guys don't know, but Chris does teach us like some sessions, behind the screens on, using the computer and how to make a thumbnail and how to make a video and, all that good stuff, what software to use and all that. Y'all don't know that, but yeah, I'm just putting it out there. That's why we see him as a teacher and a mentor for us, as well as, how go about making a show and a video or whatever, an interview also. So,
yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, it's been great tonight, man. I wish we didn't have to, but we do have to end this tonight. So
there's always another night in the future we could have Chris back and
part 2, man.
Part 2.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Next week we got Al Santoriga. We're going to talk about some stuff with him. So we'll see you next week. Al Goomba.
Yeah. Next week we're having Al on, man.
Forget about it.
All right, guys. Well, it's been great, man. Tom, love you. Chris, love you, man. We'll see y'all later.
Have a good night, everybody
who showed up. Thank you and stuck around to the end. We'll see y'all next week, man. And with this, we are out. Peace out.